We were going out like on a 12-day mission where we go out and camp out in the jungle. And we go out and we fly generally every day. We go out and fly on helicopters. The helicopter takes you out into the jungle in openings and lets you off. And sometimes it can be quite an experience with a whole bunch of enemy who can hear you coming. They have a chance to set up ambushes. Sometimes we have rockets and mortars that come in on us. So it's a pretty dramatic thing. As you're coming in to land, you basically get off and run. Well, we came into a real hot, it's called a hot LZ landing zone. And we just went right into the ground, and I was standing by the door, and all of a sudden we hit the ground and crashed, and bullets were flying everywhere. And the helicopter had flipped over on its side, and the back part was up on me. And I was trying to get up with my rifle. I see these poles coming through the helicopter bottom of the helicopter. And then the door gunner, he was trying to get the machine gun off the thing that he had balanced up there. And what happened was, right when he got that up, laying on the bottom of the helicopter, as he was firing, he went to fire the machine gun, he got shot. The bullet went here and hit him in the head, took off his ear and his helmet, and he got shot in the shoulder. And the machine gun fell over, M60 machine gun fell over into my hands. And I just reached and picked it up, and about that time there was an enemy soldier that was running up, and he was firing down at an angle, and I was able to machine gun hit him. And then there's some other rounds out there, and the pilot was screaming and hollering that they were coming around, and he was trying to get out of his seat. He grabbed an M16 rifle from one of the other guys. We had like 7 guys on the helicopter, 7 infantrymen like me and the 2 door gunners. And he grabbed one of the rifles and he starts firing at the enemy. And he was shooting. And then later, after we got out of the helicopter, the other men, when they came into the land, they had took off. And then they circled around, came back, it seemed like hours later, but it wasn't that long. But the 12 enemy that was laying out there, we'd got them. The machine gun had got them. And then I was helping the door gunner with his ear and helmet and his shoulder, putting pressure on it and stuff, because I wasn't a medic. But other guys had been knocked unconscious in the helicopter or something. And then later, years later, it's kind of funny because after that incident, I went my way and we went back in the base. And then years later, I got a job chauffeuring people around in an old car. And they would take tours as we flew around they got to fly around on an old helicopter. Then later, I was driving this guy and his wife, and he told me, he says, they went to fly a helicopter. And she got off the helicopter, came back, and I asked her how I was. She says, oh, I was really scared because I was afraid of crashing, And the man, the guy says, pretty good sized guy says, oh, he says, that's nothing. He says, I was in Vietnam, and he says, I ain't afraid of helicopter. I was shot down 3 times or crashed or whatever. And he says, I love flying helicopters. I go, oh. And I says, oh, I says, I was in Vietnam, so what year were you in Vietnam? And he says, well, he says, you were a pilot? I said, no, I was a grunt. And in 69 and 70, and he goes, oh, he says, let me tell you about this grunt. He says, one time we came in and we opened fire and the enemy started firing and we came in and crashed and the helicopter flipped over. And I says, did your door gunner get shot in the ear and the shoulder? And he looked real right at me and goes, yeah. He says, yeah. I said, that was me. I was a grunt. I said, that's good. I said that. He goes, no. I said, well, how would I know about the door gunner in his ear? And talked to him and his wife. Then I had to explain to his wife exactly everything that he did, because he did grab a rifle and fought off the other enemy that was there. And but I never seen him again until that day. And he owned a business, and quite an experience. Give me a $20 tip too, and it's real nice. So God worked a miracle and protected me on that day, and him, and we did all right.